Um, I am gonna tell you right now, I'm not on my best laptop. Both of the ones that I would have used as my first choices are messed up. So hopefully I will get those for next week. So I'm gonna try to sign very slow, but please let me know if you cannot see, if it's too blurry, if it's confusing. Just please let me know because I'm more than happy to slow down, pause, any of that. I know I'm very blurry. I can see it right now. So anyway, so I just graduated from the University of Montevallo, and this is my first year teaching. So I'm still getting the feels of being the actual teacher now. But anyways, it's very exciting. So I've been taking ASL classes since my junior year of high school. So I've got about 5-6 years of signing. Does not mean I am an expert in fluently a signer. That's not going to happen for me. Just because since I was born hearing, I was not growing up with signing every day. That's just not gonna happen. But I'm very close where I can communicate. If I came across a deaf person and they asked me a question, I can immediately answer and sign and understand what they said. So I hope to at least help you guys feel more comfortable where if you did see a deaf person, you could sign, even if it's just limited, you can still sign and communicate with them. So my kind of schedule goal for these, or at least today, is we're gonna start with the alphabet and numbers. And I know it's kind of basic, but the alphabet is so important because when you're learning another language like Spanish, if you forget the word or to something, you can't just start spelling the word to the other person. They might be like, I have no idea what you're spelling to me. So, but in sign language, if you don't know the word to apple, you can finger spell apple and ask them, well, what is the sign for that? And they'll be like, oh, it's apple. So that's why I really will probably be emphasizing on the ABCs because that is just such a key detail. And that really helps me feel more comfortable signing with others. So we're going to start with, of course, A. And please, again, tell me if it's blurry, can't see, any of that. So this is A. You just kind of rest your palm and you have your thumb on the side of your knuckles. Perfect. And so then B kind of just looks like a B. You have your 4 fingers up and your thumb over. C is a C. D is you have your pointer finger pointing up and then your other fingers are making a circle. Now, some people will get this confused with F, and I'll show you why later. E is your fingers bent with your thumb, like that. Perfect. I'm sorry, I'm checking everybody's to make sure they can see it right. Okay. And then F is, yes. Now, some people will flip them. They'll flip D, and they'll say, this is D, and this is F, and I'm like, no. So F. G is your 2 fingers, it's your thumb. It's almost like you're doing like little, and you have it sideways. Yes. H is the same, but with 2 fingers. I is pinkies up. Now, I'm going to change hands because I'm left-handed, and J is different for lefties. So J for you, if you are right-handed, is you will do a curve outward, like a J. Out. And the reason for that is because to you, it may look like the J is backwards, but when you're signing to someone, you're technically writing the J the correct way for them. So that's why it's kind of it. If you signed it this way, it's fine too. They're not going to be like, oh, you signed it wrong. No, but some people will be a little, it's this way. So J. K is you have your 2 fingers. You pull your middle finger slightly forward and put your thumb in between them. K. L, easy enough. And then M is 3 fingers over your thumb. N will be 2 fingers over your thumb. O. Now P is K again, but now down. And then, ooh, sorry, I'm forgetting my alphabet. I'm going so slow. Q is the pinching, but down. So Q. R is like you're keeping a secret, hoping everything will work. S is going to be your same position of A, but now your thumb is in front of your fingers. T is going to be one finger over your thumb. U is going to be just like this. V, W, X, like a hook. Y, and then Z is you just do zigzags. So I know it might not be feel the most comfortable. I remember when I first was learning it, I was like, my hand hurts. Like that is hard. And I promise the practicing of that is where you can get it to where I can be like, my name is Jillian. And I know you can't see it, but it's just like, it's almost like fluid motion. It's not causing me to have to sit there and think. And that's because I really practiced that alphabet. So later on, after we go through the numbers, we're probably I might do a little testing of just, not a real test, of course, but like testing of which letter is this, what's that, and see what y'all kind of are feeling. So now, is everybody good? How does everyone feel on their alphabets? Do we need to go over it again? Are there any letters you want to go over? I mean, I'm very open to anything. I know I kind of went fast.
Hey, Jillian, could we go through the alphabet one more time?
Of course. All right, to be practicing this, and what I'm hoping to do is almost in the beginning when we start our meetings is for the first 5 minutes is practice spelling, either a word, name, just practicing the alphabet, just to get that kind of going in too. So do not feel like you have to know this entire alphabet by tonight. I promise you I would not expect that of you. My teachers did not expect that of me. So, okay, so A, again, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, so you put the 2 fingers forward, there you go. L, M, 2 fingers over your thumb. And then N is, I said 2, sorry, 3 fingers over your thumb for M, 2 fingers over your thumb for N. Then O, P is that K but down. Q, that R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, so I changed my mind on you guys. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to try to challenge you a little, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the letter, and I want you guys to try to, and I'm going to go in order. I'm not going to jump on y'all, but I want you to try to see if you can remember the letters yourselves. And if you can't remember, that's totally fine. Don't be upset with yourself. So do y'all feel comfortable with that? Or do you just want to kind of repeat them again? How are you guys feeling? Feeling good?
Yeah, let's throw caution to the wind and
I'm doing my best, you guys. Okay, so are y'all ready? Okay. A. Good. A. It's totally fine, you guys. Okay. B. Ooh, nice. Yes. B. Okay. C. I will cry if you don't remember this one. Okay. D. Ooh, good, good. D. All right. E. Mm-hmm. Good, good, good. E. All right. F. Ooh, I see some. Yes. Don't worry, those are the hardest letters. D and F always get me. G. Good. G. Ooh, I showed you. H. H. And then I. Good. I. J. Good. K. Good, good. Wow, I'm impressed. I could never get K right. I got a lot of trouble for that one. Could not remember it. L. M. Ooh, good, good, good. N. O. P. Good, good. Q. Ooh, I see a few here. Q. R. R. S. S. T. Good, good. I see some. Don't worry. T. U. V. W. X. Y. And then Z. Perfect. Wow, you guys, I'm actually really impressed. I remember my first year taking ASL class and learning the ABCs. It took us about 3 weeks to just get the letters, just get some of them right. And that wasn't just me. There was some other classmates, but I remember it was exhausting. So, okay. So now we're going to move on to our numbers. And for right now, I'm just going to start from 1 through 20. And the reason is because when you get higher, it gets repetitive, which is good. It's helpful because you don't have to worry too much about it. But 1 through 20 have each a different, like a symbol for each one. So 1 is easy. It's 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what you would say is 3. Then 7 is going to be your ring finger down. 8 is your middle finger. 9, and then for 10, it's a thumbs up and you shake it. 10. Now, 11, I'm going to try to go slow and describe them because they do have motion to them. 11 is a 1 and you're flicking it up. 1, like that. It's 11. 12 is 2 fingers. 13 is almost like you're saying come here, but with your thumb sticking out. 14, 15, and then 16, you can do it 2 ways. You can either move just your pinky back and forth on your thumb, or you can shake it. Either way that makes you feel comfortable and easy to remember, it works. And that's the same for 17, 18, 19, and then 20. It's like you're making little birds. Cheep, 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 cheep. Okay, so I won't deny, one of my favorite things about learning the numbers is that I can count everything with just one hand. You can go up to about probably 999 without having to use another hand. It's all in one hand. And I think that is the coolest thing about ASL. Like everything else I've learned, I'm like, that's okay. But learning that I can put all my numbers on one hand, I think that's so cool. So let's go over the numbers again. And then what I might try to do is, instead of having you guys do the numbers, is I might put some numbers, and I want to see, you can either type them, say them, see if you can say the number. You know what I mean? Does that sound good? Okay, so let's repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, try and go slow, 14.
Hey, Jillian, I have
Yes.
a question.
Yes.
Where is when you're doing 14 and 15, what are you doing with your thumb?
So for 14, I have my thumb curved in, almost like I'm making the letter B. And so I have it like this. So you don't see my thumb sticking out. But for 15, you want it sticking out. And that's because it's the 5. So when you have your thumb in, that means just the 4. 5 sticking out means the 5. So 14, 15. And I'm really sticking my thumb out so you can see it now. Usually you don't have to be stretching your thumb out like this. You can just kind of relax it. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, how do you guys feel on the numbers? Are we have thumbs up or thumbs down? How do we feel? Trust me, I understand. My hands get so tired. Even now when I started full on teaching, I was like, ooh, my hands are sore. So, but how do you guys feel on if I just start putting some numbers, and you can either use the chat box to type the answers in, or you can voice them. Honestly, either works for me. How do you guys feel on that? Are y'all good with that? Okay. So I'm going to first sign an easy number. And don't worry, if you don't want to, you don't have to type it in. That's totally fine.
I ain't using that chat thing.
No worries, no worries. Okay, are y'all ready for the next one? Okay. I have to think of a number, you know? It's right off the bat, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Okay. Nice. Yes, so this is 9. Yeah. And also, for your information, this is also F. So F and 9, they're the same. There are a few numbers that have the same letters, which is why it's also very important when you are signing to people that they know when you mean a letter or you know when you mean a number. So that's always had a fun conversation with me, is they'll look at me and they go, I don't know what you said. You just said the number 9. I'm like, no, I said the letter F. And they're like, oh, never mind. Changes the whole thing. We're good now. And I'm like, thank you. So, all right. Number 3. So this is 7. Don't worry, I get my 7s and 8s confused. My kids who were born deaf get 7s and 8s confused because they're just so close. So let's see another one. Okay. Yes, good. 12. Okay. 16. 16, good. Okay. We'll do about 2 more, and then we will review some of the alphabet again. And then if you have any questions or if you want to learn anything else, I have one more thing we could learn, but I'll ask y'all later. Let's do these 2 questions. Having a think. Oh. Yes, 18. Good, good. Okay, and then our last one. Perfect. 20. Perfect. Wow. Good job, you guys. That was awesome. So what I'll mention this to you guys now is I did have, in case we had extra time, but I didn't want to overload you guys. So if you want to wait till the next meeting, that's totally fine too. Is we could start with learning the days of the week, learning the sign for like day, minute, hour, second. I thought that would be a good kind of starting, especially since some of them would involve the numbers. So do you guys want to start trying that, or do you want to just keep practicing your alphabet? Which would y'all prefer?
Let's do the days of the week.
Okay.
Here you go.
Does that sound good to everybody?
We can watch this all week and get all of it.
You know what? You're totally right. I completely forgot that we're recording this. All right. So yes. Okay. So we'll start with days of the week. Oh, okay. That's an awesome question. So there was a question about how would you make like the number 21 and going forwards with that. So there are a few signs that you can use for numbers. Like for 21, it's 21. But you also can do 2, 1, 2, 1. And so you can kind of continue that where the 2 and the 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, and that bouncing, sorry, I think I froze for a minute. That bouncing back and forth, you can continue that all the way up to 100. And then 100, you start doing the C, 100. So for numbers like 99, you just do your 9. Sorry, I'm freezing on here. Are we good? Sorry, I know I was freezing on here. Okay, you would do 99. And then when you're doing like 30, 40, 50, you would go 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0, 6, 6, 0, 7, 0, 8, 0, 9, 0. So it's just that same kind of that repeated, you're just using the same numbers and using the same signs and making the number. So that's what I meant by after you get past 20, it's really just the same signs. You just kind of, it's like you're spelling the number out. 21, 22, that. Okay, so now for time. The sign for time is super easy. Time. You just tap your wrist, basically where your watch would be. And then The sign for second is very slightly, you just shake your hand a little back and forth on your palm. You put your palm out like a pointer finger and you just shake it back and forth. Just to show that you're moving fast like a second. And then for minute,
Does
Yes.
it matter if you move your whole hand or just your finger?
so if you move your whole hand, that's totally fine. But you want to make sure it's still small, because if you go big, then it will look like a bigger time. Like 1 hour is like the whole circular motion. And if you try to do that, it might look like that. So just very little. And then 1 minute would be, usually a lot of people will use like for a minute, they'll go like 1 minute. Like you have a pointer finger here, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, skip 4, 5 minutes, that. There's also, I think that is like a minute, that. I use this more, that's why I'm not so, I will double check on that for you guys, but I'm pretty sure it's just longer across for a minute. And then hour is the same pointer finger, but a whole circle on your palm. And the cool thing is that for that, you can say 2 and do 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. So it's not always have to be 4 hour. You can do that, but some will do just 2 hours. They combine it. Day, yes.
This was what? This was,
So second is really small, like very small. And then minute is like longer. Does that
Okay.
make sense? I know it gets confusing. That's why a lot of people use the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minutes, this one, because it helps differentiate. So day would be a D. And all you do is you want to have your hands like this, and you'll have your D. Sorry, can't fit it on the screen. There we go. And you just have it go down. Day. 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 Month is going to be, you're going to have your non-dominant hand. So mine's my right, most of y'all's will be your left. Have that pointing forward, have your dominant hand come up and put the finger behind, and you're just going to go behind. Do you see that? I know it's a little strange. Yes, that. Yes. And that's month. And then year is you're going to have like 2 fists. Have your non-dominant hand just stay there, and your dominant hand is going to make a full circle around it, like you're going through a whole year. Okay. Let me see. Try and decide if I want to tell you guys about. Okay, so I'll do next week, next year, next month, last year, last week. It's the same sign, but just using that other time sign. So for next week, you would have, oh wait, I completely forgot about week. I'm sorry, I skipped my week. Week is you're gonna have your hand like this, your palm up, your non-dominant hand palm up. You'll have your dominant hand with the pointer, and you will just swipe it across. Week. 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 And so can everyone see that? Does that make sense? Okay. So for next week is you would have the same motion, but now when you finish your swipe, you're going to go forward. Like you're going like next week. It's the next week. Yes. Now some people will sign it this way. My kids sign it this way. I did not learn it that way. I learned next week. But they will accept both. A lot of signs are, let me get off this real quick, but a lot of signs are regional. So some will be the same, some were slightly different. And so one of them is an example of week, where I say next week, someone would say next week. Has the same meaning, and most people can kind of understand. It's not too much of a problem if you sign it either way. So that should be not a concern. Now, last week would be, again, the same swipe, but going back because it happened in the past. Last week. And then How do we feel on that? Are we good? Everything good? Okay, want to make sure. I don't want to go too fast for you guys. So for next month, it's not a pretty one, in my opinion. It's the month and having to do a weird swoop. Next month. Next month. Next month. Yeah. So next month. And then last month is you would do last back. That one's also not fun. I always avoid doing last month and next month. It's not always easy. And then next year. So some people will do the full year, but some will just go, they'll bang their fist on top and then go boom. So boom, bang, forward. And then the same for last year's, they'll tap, back, tap, back. Okay, so, oh, I completely forgot the signs for today and yesterday and tomorrow. And then I promise after that, I'm not gonna overload you anymore and we will practice. So the sign for today is you make the Y's on both hands. You have them faced up, your palm up, and you just shake them twice. You bounce them up and down twice today. And the reason it's important to do that twice is because when you do one, that means now. So like now, today. So the bouncing. And then tomorrow, well, yesterday is you have your thumb, you put it right next to like the corner of your lip, and you bring it back to your ear. Yesterday. Yesterday. And some will do the Y for yesterday, and that's acceptable too. So this and this both work. Tomorrow is your thumb is again on the corner of your mouth, and you go forward. Tomorrow. 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 And make sure not to be close to your chin. And again, the reason is because this is not. And so it has very different meanings. Some of the struggles with ASL is, excuse me, is you can have it just a slightly off, not exactly on the cheek or the chin, and it changes the whole meaning. And so it can get a little confusing, but as long as you keep placement of where your hands are, you should be good. So tomorrow. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm going to just review, repeat again, review, and then I know that was a lot, and I know a lot of y'all are probably like, oh, I need to watch this video again. So we might review, but I'm not going to test you guys and challenge you guys to try to remember all this. So I'm trying to remember where I started. Okay, second. So second, very little. Second, minute or minute, either way. Hour. Then day. Back up there. Day. The D. I have mine slightly turned so I don't have that awkward spot. I just put it this way. Day. Week. Month. Year.
Wait.
Year. Pull your elbows in, Miss Katie. She's got them up like this, and she's like, this is not working. Year. And then try to remember everything. What else did I say? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. Yes, there we go.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Next week. Next week. Then last week. Last week. Next month. Next month. Last month. Last month. Next year. Next year. Last year. Last year. Today. Yesterday. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. So how do we feel on those, you guys? Are we good? Thumbs down? Good. And so we have about 20 extra minutes. I'm not going to give you guys anything new. I promise. I can see oh my goodness, so much. And the good thing about this not being an actual school class is that I'm not going to give you a test on it next Tuesday and say, I bet you better know all of this. Like, it's a learn and pace as you go. And that's why we also record them, is so even if you're not feeling fully comfortable with your days, your times signs, you can still keep learning and continue to practice this as well. So I'm thinking what we can do. So how about this? If you guys have any questions, you can either type them in the chat box, speak, anything like that. And I'm more than happy to answer. It can be about ASL. I mean, honestly, it can be about if you're curious about like the Alabama School for the Deaf, anything deaf culture. If you're curious about any of that, just let me know.
Did you watch the Netflix series Deaf You?
So actually, I did.
So
I watched part
good.
of it.
It was trashy. It was trashy, but it was fun.
It was. Oh yes, I watched about half of it, and then I keep planning to finish it, but it just kind of got pushed in the back of my mind because I would watch a few episodes and I was like, oh man, this is interesting. And I would talk to some of my coworkers who, a few of them are deaf, and I'd be like, well, what are your thoughts on this? And we would start kind of gossiping about the show. And I was like, I need to finish that. And then I never finished it. So I'm hoping I can see the rest of it and kind of see, because, you know, we don't ever see much about deaf culture. And I was very happy to see some of it. I do wish they would have done a little bit more, less of the drama, gossip. But, you know, if it's catching viewers to be like, hey, that's a cool language, they're using their hands, might want to learn that, then I'm like, go for it. So there was that. Is there any other questions?
I think you just.
I guess
I think you just.
am
told
I
us
living in
about
a hole? What is Deaf You?
So it's on Netflix. It's a drama show about the University of Gallaudet.
Which is the most famous deaf school in America, right?
Yes, it's the.
Right,
It's
I know what Gallaudet is. I've never heard of it referred to as Deaf You before.
It's a Netflix series. It's a reality show, and you know how those are reality shows with all deaf. So you know they have the words for me to read, but they're signing everything. Some of them talk, right?
Yes.
Anyway, it was really interesting to immerse yourself in the culture of where I felt like an outsider. It was great. It was wonderful.
It was the show was called Deaf You. And so it doesn't call Gallaudet that, it's just the title of the show, and it takes place at Gallaudet. Yes.
I thought U was standing for university. And so
Oh no. No, I think that was just
It
saying
does.
that.
It was saying it was
I didn't
pretending that was deaf university. That's what it was.
That is true.
That
I
was the
didn't think
catch
about
for
that.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I came late, so I missed the introductions or whatever. But I'm a mother of a deaf child, so we live in the deaf world, and we use ASL, mainly C, as our form of communication for him.
Oh, okay. I completely understand that. I would recommend not showing your student Deaf You, and the reason is just it's a little more of the adult because it's at a college. So I would just refrain from that. But I just want to mention that just in case you were like, maybe I could show my child, and be like, I would wait on that. So, but Miss Alice, I'm sorry. I'm still such a youngin' that I'm like, I want to say miss to everybody. Please don't be offended.
No, not at all. No, I think you showed us the sign for gossip. Is it that?
Gossip. It's like 20,
Okay.
and then you move it back like in circles. Because it's
Okay,
like
when
you're
you were
talking.
talking, you kept saying that. So I was like, okay, that must be another one.
I will say, since I sign all day, and that's really the only way I communicate throughout the day is through signing, it is very hard for me to stop. And so I will come home and I will be talking with my parents, and I'll be signing about half of the things I'm saying. And their eyes will just kind of stop looking at me, and they're just staring at my hands because all they see is movement. And I'm like, I'm sorry. So if I do that and it is distracting, please let me know. I will try to keep it lower so you can't see, because it's just so natural for me, especially when I'm getting excited. I forget and I start using my hands. I mean, one of the things my mom said when I told her I wanted to work with deaf kids is, you love using your hands to talk. I mean, that makes sense. So I think that works for you. Go for it. And I was like, thank you, Mom. So are there any other questions? I did want to ask if there was any certain things you wanted to learn, like anything specific. I mean, I know since we just started, you probably would say as much as you can. I hope to reach, we're going to reach events. We're going to get to animals, WH questions, and that's just like the who, what, when, where, why. I'm going to teach you some sentence structures, just like saying, my name is, I like, I want. Those will be just kind of the basics of that. And I think there was something else I'm trying to remember. But if there's anything else, if you are curious about a word and just kind of, even if it's like, I don't need to have to worry about the whole entire information, but I want to know this one word in sign, I'm more than happy to give it to you if I know it. I will say there are some that I'm like, that's over my head, but I can ask someone and then the next meeting, give it to you guys. So
I have a question, Jillian.
yes.
I am hoping that by the end of a couple of sign language classes, if we had someone come in the library that needed help, I would be able to say, can I help you find a book or find a resource? If there was something I didn't know, what you're saying is I could say, could I help you find and not that I would forget the sign for book, but let's say I did. You're saying that I could say, can I help you find and then spell the word book. I really spell anything and ask for the sign. So I could ask to learn the language as I'm talking to the person, essentially, because I can spell what I need to say and learn the sign at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not, and I promise they're not going to judge you. Most will not judge you. I guess I should say that. Most will not judge you because there's always
I will say to them, Jillian told me you would not judge me.
Well, the reason I say most will not judge you is because there are a few signs that are a few words that just don't have a sign for it. And some of those especially are like sounds, like the word click. I mean, I've not learned the sign for that. So I have to finger spell the word click to have to explain
That's
it.
interesting.
And there's a few, and once you get into fifth grade and sixth grade science and social studies information, there's not a lot of signs for that. So it's a lot of me holding my hand, finger spelling the word slowly, and then having to explain it. The biggest thing with signing is that you explain a lot of things. You kind of just describe it. You almost like you're putting on a show. You're just kind of acting it. And so, because I will say your facial expressions are extremely important. And especially when we're getting in later to like questions, certain motions of like when you have your eyebrows, if your eyebrows are up, that and then your eyebrows down mean two different questions. So it's very interesting having to be very aware of your facial expressions. And the good news is that if you, as long as you don't just do this the entire day, you should be good. Very natural. I didn't have to sit there and think, okay, am I making the right face? I mean, it's very natural for us. So are there any other questions you guys have?
Yeah, I have a question. So I know it's called American Sign Language, but is it used internationally or is there a completely different language like if you're in Europe?
So there is actually a completely different language for each country, basically. There is British Sign Language. There is French Sign Language. There is, oh, what's that one? I mean, there's a different sign language for every country, basically. Now, some of them might have some similar signs, but it is different. And it's kind of crazy to think that, especially when I found out about the British Sign Language, because, you know, in England, they speak English too. And for them to have a completely different language kind of threw me off, because I could understand with Spanish because they have words that may not, they won't sound like they work with the sign. But with Britain, they speak English and it's like, nope, it's different. And I was like, okay. So yes, but the good thing is that even if suppose you were in a different country and you only knew American Sign Language, I feel you would still be able to at least some way communicate, because you were able to still do some signs that are very visual or very very, like I said, very visual. Because I mean, the signs for like the word eat is literally putting your hands to your mouth like you're eating. And so you could still be able to communicate very little, but communicate something. So, I did have one thing I wanted to see if, again, you guys were good with doing this, is for next week, I wanted to almost kind of, I guess, test you. I would like for you guys to try to practice spelling. You can have it practice spelling your first name. And if you can just, the next meeting, just finger spell your first name for me. It's okay if you mess up. It's okay if you have to take your time. No stress there. I would love to see if you guys can do that. And it's the reason I say is because that is probably going to be something you sign the most. My name, I have to really hold my hand back before I sign my name because I will sign it so fast. Okay. Oh, I saw there was a question. So, medical sign language. I'm going to tell you now, that'll be fun. And I will have to talk to people about it because I learned the educational sign language, but I'm more than happy to look up resources and see what else is out there to kind of give to you to help you see that as well. I know a ton of different videos, different apps, websites. I am trying to make a more longer resource list than I have. I just started it and I want to continue to add. And so I can definitely look up. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. Medical sign language.
Also, I've made some notes that I'll include in the email I send out to everyone. So I know like Marianne joined a little bit later, and I think we had a couple of other people join a little bit late. Just to recap, I've been recording this since just about the time we started with the alphabet, I think. So the video that I send tomorrow will include the alphabet, the numbers that we worked on, and then us going back over that. And then the next thing we moved to was things like yesterday, today, tomorrow, next week, next year, things like that. Time, I guess.
Yes.
So, you know, if you did have to miss or come in late, don't worry about it. And I also said, if there's an upcoming class you'll have to miss, let me know, but I'll send every single person the recap video after each lesson, the day after each lesson, so that you can practice. And Jillian also sent me some resources, sorry, and the names of a couple of apps. I'll include those in the email. We are also putting together a ASL resource page for the library's website, where all of this information will live eventually. So you could go there as well. It's just going to take us a little while to put it all together. So.
And I will say one of the, I'll let Katie make sure to emphasize this as well. I do have a specific app that I do really enjoy using the most. And it's a part of the ones that we will be getting soon. It's just this one's very good about also showing you if there's a sign for it, but also in different languages. And so if you were curious just to see, well, what would that be in French? You can see it as well. It'll show you. And that one is the one I found to be really accurate on the signs. Because sometimes people will have, like I said, the slightest change changes the whole sign in the meaning. And I have seen a few apps that will kind of mess up on that, but this one and then these other two are pretty good about helping with that. So
which one's your favorite, Jillian?
Spread the Sign. It's like a yellowish orange one, but it's Spread the Sign.